In this video we are going to create a female head from our memory. So I'm not going to use any image. I'm going to totally depend on my memory, and let's see what we can do. And that will be kind of rough sculpt. We are not going to refine it too much and detail it too much. We're gonna learn the basic forms, basic shapes, basic proportions, some tips and tricks on how to create female head. Okay, so I'm going to use Dynamis. So let's go to Lightbox, and I'm gonna use a sphere here, maybe a Dynamis sphere. Let's double click on this one. Okay, now we have a Dynamis sphere. So I'm gonna use my move brush to get the overall shape, overall proportion. The first thing is you need to get the overall proportion right. So I'm going to create the overall proportion first. So this would be our head. So I'm going to, head is almost an oval shape, so I'm going to move this down. Just think like this is the chin, so this is the side view. You can look at this thing if you are using Zbrush 2020. Okay, now I'm trying to get the overall head form, and real quick we're going to get the neck. So I'm going to mask this area. Okay, and let's hold Control and click outside to reverse it, and then I'm gonna use move, roughly move this. And neck is always neck has an angle like this. It's never straight like this, it has an angle, something like this. Okay, hold Control, drag. As you can see, it strays all the polygons here. If I hold Control and drag, because I'm using a Dynamis sphere, it's going to regenerate the polygons and evenly distribute polygons. Okay, so that's why Dynamis is a very good tool to sketch your ideas. So here I'm going to use my move brush. I'm not going to do all those features until I get the overall shape right, overall form right. So here I'm thinking about the face and the skull and the neck, something like this. Maybe this is the jaw here. From the front view, I'm going to use I'm going to turn off perspectivity for now. So I don't want any perspective destruction at this stage. So what I'm trying to do is getting the overall shape, overall form right. So there's the skull. So when you do skulls, remember these angles. So this is the neck starting area. Neck has a kind of curve like this. Okay, now from this area the skull tends to have this angle, and then there's a point, and then this angle, and then this. So make sure you have this angle there, which we have here. Okay, now I'm going to maybe give a little bit of volume to the front area of the neck. Well, I might do a little bit more than neck, so I'm going to Control mask this area and reverse it, and then I'm going to scale this. So we're gonna do a little bit kind of clavicle shape. I like to do that, so I'm gonna do it. It's kind of a bust. Hold Control, drag, smooth everything. Back, move this position, back position. Okay, that's fine, I guess. So again, I'm looking at overall form. Girls tends to have a thin neck. I'm gonna adjust that so that I get a thin neck there. Okay, now I'm focusing on the face area, and here we want a again form, proper form. So I'm going to use my down standard and my pinch brush. So let's create the jaw line there. Oh sorry, holding alt we can just smooth this, and here we can just put a line like this. Smooth everything. Okay, we can flatten the side part of the head. So what we can do, we can use trim dynamic or something, trim dynamic, and trim this side part and have this shape here. Again we are going to smooth it, so that thing gave me this kind of line here, that temporal line. And here I'm going to get that jaw, oh sorry, I should use down standard and get that jaw depth, and then there will be the ear. And just roughly get the idea where it needs to be. Still I'm not working on any features yet, so I can use my trim dynamic brush, or even I can use standard brush to push this area. So this is the bony landmarks of the jaw, or sorry, the cheekbone. Okay, just getting the ideas. Okay, then there is the temporal lines, temporal fossa, so that's a kind of carved in shape. Okay, that's good. And here we want an angle change, so that's what I'm trying to get, angle change. Okay, now I'm going to give some impression where I need to put the eyes and the stuff. Eyes tend to be at the half of the head position, so I'm going to look at it roughly, and maybe it should somewhere here. So again, whatever I'm doing right now, I'm doing it from my memory, so I'm totally working from my memory, so it's not going to be great maybe, but let's see. Okay, so this should be the eye position, and then let's maybe have some idea about the nose. And again, the nose is kind of 1.5 eye length. Let's say you do the eye from here to here maybe. Okay, and the nose, if you rotate the eyes to this direction, the nose tends to half eye, so you can take this half again. The nose tends to from here till here, it's 1.5 half eye distance, this length. So there are some guidelines like this you need to remember in order to know. You can also do face from your memory by remembering these guidelines. Okay, then the mouth muzzle. So the muzzle is the kind of protrusion part, because there's the kind of teeth and gum inside there, so that's why that area is kind of protruding out. Again, nothing special, just getting the overall form of the face. Girls tend to have a round jawline, but again, exception is there. You may see sharp jawlines girls, but they tend to be more rounded. If you create more sharp lines, then it will look like a male character. So I'm going to check this side view, and nose should protrude out, that should go out. Again, when you do nose, make sure and specifically when you do a girl's nose, a woman nose, it's better to have a straight nose or a little bit carved in kind of nose. So if you give a little bit carved into the nose, then it is cute. It looks like cute, and if you even make a straight nose, it's going to look good. So just avoid kind of carve out kind of nose like this. Okay, so here I think I'm going with a little bit maybe straight, a little bit carved in. Okay, so here I'm going to impress that kind of what they call the nostril line, maybe from this angle. Again, not working on any detail, and I'm not working on any specific area, so I'm working overall. Let's smooth these things. I'm trying to get the overall form proportion. Here maybe, and I think I should put some ear there, so I'm going to give some volume maybe, so we can actually mask this area. And when you do the ear, let me again, there's a guideline. If you draw a line from this nose, maybe straight line, not like this, maybe something like straight, and then you draw a line from this eyebrow, you get the ear here. This the ear height needs to be something like this, and the ear position will be somewhere center, just off center, just behind the center. Okay, so that's the guideline to position the ear. And when you do the ear, have an angle to that, so I'm going to mask this roughly again. Okay, let's use move and move these things. Again, nothing kind of very specific, just getting all those forms, right. And the skull ends exactly at the ear end part, so again here, this is the skull end part. Something like this. Okay, maybe I should move this back part. It's going a little bit there, and okay, I'm not sure if I have it right. Maybe we should move and create a little bit bigger, bigger skull there. Let's move these things and have a little bit angle. It's almost square than round, so now make sure we have the proper volume, something like this. And girls tend to have a kind of forward forehead. This tends to have a kind of straight forehead like this, and male have a little bit slant to the forehead like this, but girls tends to have a kind of straight forehead. So this kind of things you need to remember and memorize. So this stuff kind of differentiate a man or female from a male character, like this. A thin neck. Okay, something like this. I think it's a good base, it's a good starting point, and we can refine it from here. Maybe we can use my my standard brush to create that temporal fossa area, which is a kind of carved in shape here in this area particularly. Okay, and we have this cheekbone. Girls tends to have a little bit prominent cheekbone, and then boys, again, exception is there always. So again, these are some basic kind of rule. We can draw a shape like this, which creates that kind of muzzle and then the nasal labia form. Okay, I guess I'm looking at the form. Maybe I can push this area a little bit to make room for the eyes. Okay, that's great. So here I'm going to increase my divisions to a little bit up level. So I'm not going to divide it because we're working with dynamics at this stage, so I'm gonna increase this resolution instead. So let's increase it from 32 to somewhere maybe 100 or something. I'm gonna gradually increase it. Hold control and drag. Once you increase it, it's not going to automatically update. After increase, you need to hold control and drag outside somewhere here in this blank area. And once you get the new resolution, you can see there are no small faceted points, polygons. We need to smooth it a little bit. Maybe we don't have to smooth at this stage because we are still kind of a blocking stage. Okay, maybe I can smooth a little bit. Okay, from here I'm gonna block the maybe facial features and a little bit anatomy. So what I can do, I can put some sternocleidomastoid muscles here. So let me use my clay tube with a low intensity. It's a good brush to sculpt these forms. So the sternocleidomastoid muscle come from back of the skull, back of the ear. It's kind of, let me draw it. It goes like this, and it attached to this area of the skull, and it goes to this, and it kind of attached to the clavicle there. This is the sternocleidomastoid muscle. Okay, and behind there will be the trapezius muscle. Okay, so I'm going to give that indication of that muscle, sternocleidomastoid. Again, creating a tube like shape, going forward there to the pit of the neck. So here needs to be the collarbone. Maybe we can draw that. The collarbone has a kind of round shape here, and then it goes in this direction, kind of a S shape at the end. So we don't have that area there, so I think we can just move that area a little bit. I can use my down standard to push this area, something like this. Smooth everything, maybe. Okay, something like this, a small landmark, anatomical landmark. I can put a little bit throat volume here, the volume to the throat area here. Smooth. Girls, you don't see the what they call this area. I can't remember that. It's something like the Adam apple or something like that, whatever. So girls tends to have a very smooth area. I think they don't have that, I'm not sure, but again, it needs to be very, very smooth. If you do that too much, it's going to look like a male. So there is there are some difference between male and female, so these are included on those. Okay, so as long as we don't create some hair, it's never going to look like a female. So let's see if I can do any hair later. Not right now. I'm going to check for the proportion shape changes or something like that at this stage. Maybe I see something. Maybe I can just push this area in a bit. Actually, there's a hollow kind of carved in shape like this, because you can see this is the trapezius muscle coming from behind and attached to this clavicle, and there is the sternocleidoid muscle which is attached to the sternum and then the clavicle. And this area tends to have a curved in shape because there isn't any big muscle. So I'm going to push that thing. So at this area you can see the collarbone a little bit better. Okay, we can push that area. So here you can see the collarbone a little bit better. We are not going to focus on that area too much. Maybe let's push this in. It was far back there. Let me move this. Okay, that's fine. So here I'm going to adjust and create some basic features. Let's try to get the overall basic features. So I'm going to use my clay tube, and here we're going to create the eye. So let's roughly put the eye there. Maybe I need to actually adjust the eye socket area first. Maybe we need to have a little bit bigger eye socket area than I have right now. We need to increase it. So I'm pushing this in like this, and let's do something like this so that I have a bit room there. Okay, so this thickness is a bit too much, so I'm going to push this area. Maybe let's push this area maybe and create a narrow breeze there. Maybe I can use my move brush to get there. And of course we need to carve in these shapes. It's too much. So we have that depth there for the nose. Kind of I'm carving real clay here. Okay, now I'm going to put some eye shape. So let me actually go to my clay tube and then do something like this, as if the eyes the eyes are closed and we are looking at the skin on top of the eyeball. Again, there is one eye gap between both the eyes. Maybe you know this. So there's one eye gap in between these two eye. So it's kind of 3 eye here. From this corner to this corner, it's 3 eye gap, 3 eyes there. So we need to remember this, otherwise it's gonna look like alien if you have less eye gap here or something like that maybe. And from this angle, make sure we have a round shape. Make sure we have a kind of a round shape like this. And we cannot sculpt eyes unless I brought a eyeball there. So I'm going to soft tool and go to append here, and let's bring a spear as an eyeball. So I'm going to bring a spear, select it holding alt and left click, and then let's use my scale tool and scale down. You can turn on transparency if you want to see that inside the body. Okay, once it's there, I can just position it on the side angle. It's always a little bit inside than the joint, the ridge of the eye area. So I think I need to adjust this shape here. Once the eyeball is there, we can easily adjust these things. Let's push this in so that it fits there. Okay, maybe I should go to my draw here and move it, align it here, something like this. Okay, that's great. So here I'm going to try to get the skin on top of this. So here I'm pulling these things. I can do one thing. I can just feel this area like this, as if the skin covers the eyeball. Okay, smooth these things, and then I can use my down standard brush and draw the eye. So again, make sure you don't use the perspective option yet. So here I'm going to use my drawing scale and draw the eye. Yeah, so when you draw the eye shape is not very simple. It's not simple as we think. So people tend to think the eye is something like this, but the eye has a little bit more complexity. So it's something like this. So how do I know that? The eye has a kind of point there, so you can see if this is the corner. So we have a high point here, and if I break down, create some plane like this, you can see the eye tends to go off in this area more than the center, and then it's kind of reverts. It has that corner, and then it creates this angle. That means we can draw like this and then have this angle here to this eye. Very subtle but very important, but at this stage it's not that important. We need to just draw it, and once we have that, then we can adjust that. That's not a big deal. And let's push this in so that from the side view it should look like the skin wraps on top of the eyeball. You should realize the form of the eyeball inside there. That means it should kind of go in around that eyeball. Now I know it looks very weird, but we can refine it. So I think we need to smooth these things. Holding Alt and kind of pulling this stuff here, trying to get the overall eye shape. And let's push this in even more so that it feels like it's wrapping around the eyeball. Here you can see it's already wrapping around the eyeball, and from the side view it looks very weird because again there is a guideline. If this is the top eyelid, the bottom eyelid needs to be back. So here you can see, let's say this is the eyeball, bottom eyelid needs to be back. So if I draw a straight line with this eyelid corner, this eyelid needs to be back. That can't be on the same line, otherwise it's gonna look very bad like this. Now it's on a straight line, so that's why it looks very weird. Maybe I can just move this eyeball a little bit and select this and move this. Oh, sorry. Smooth everything, and from the bottom angle we should see a round shape. Now it's very straight. We should see kind of round shape like this. So this corner should go in, this corner is and this corner is way there, and we have a kind of round curve shape here, something like this. So here I'm going to use my damn standard again to push these things in. So of course I don't have a lot of polygons at this stage to refine this, but again you can have a little bit form there, then we can refine it later. Okay, now you can see from the side view we have this shape. This is very important. The eyelid is in this direction, which creates the illusion that the eyeball is inside there. You can see that form. So this is a very important form here. So eyelid should go in this direction. Looks like wrapping around that eyeball. And here I'm going to duplicate this eyeball. So let's select it and go to G plugin, subtool master, and here I'm gonna use my multi append option. Let's go to G plugin, subtool master, and mirror, and let's say merge into one subtool. That's what I want, and x-axis, that's fine. So now it's a single subtool. You can check that it's a single subtool. That means we can work on a single eye with the reflection turned on. Okay, looking very weird because as we know there needs to be a single eye gap, and now it looks like it more than a single eye gap, so it's bad. So we are going to get that right. Maybe we can, actually there needs to be the corner, the eye cornea. That's not the eye cornea, the tear duct area. The eye cornea is this round shape here. That's the tear duct area. I'm not able to refine that because I don't have a lot of polygons at this stage. Okay, but again I can do that maybe later. I need to adjust the nose a bit, so let's actually create some hole there. Okay, maybe let's draw some nostrils. Okay, these nostrils from the side view, again here people tend to do one mistake. They keep the nostril here, so on this line, it needs to go a little bit further back so you get the actual depth of the nose. So I'm gonna do that. Let's move this in so it's inside the body. Okay, something like this, and I'm going to give some volume to this nostrils here. Here we are creating a girls tends to have a small kind of nose and very refined nose. If you are looking at a kind of model kind of girl, then they tend to have very, very sharp and defined nose. So I'm going gentle with the nose at this stage, and let me use my damp standard. Here you can see when you do the nose, there are few parts. We have the ridge of the nose, this part, and then we have the bridge of the nose. So this is the bridge part. Okay, so this is the bridge. Now my bridge is a little bit wide, it needs to be a little bit narrow, and at this, somewhere in this area we have the joint, the bone, and then we have this full part is catalyst. So here in this area we have some catalyst in these shapes. So you can see this kind of shapes are there. So we need to have a kind of deep line here, one at the center, like something like this, and then we have these nostrils. So I'm going to put a line, as I said, the shape of that. Again, not kind of working on a detail level at this stage, but I know these forms are there, so I'm going to pull those. Obviously you need to smooth, and as I said, the bridge is a little bit wide here, so I'm going to push those, maybe using clay tube or something. Obviously we have an angle here. This, you can see, this is the bridge, and then we have this angle. Okay, again I'm not going to stick to this area to define it fully. I'm going to switch to other areas, working overall from this angle. Make sure the nose creates the nose sits on a round shape like this, so it shouldn't be on a straight line because it's on top of the muzzle of the face here. And let me clear this line here. We need to, I think it's fine, we can just adjust a little bit using the move brush so that it sits on that muzzle. Again, not going to stay there, so let's define or just get the idea of the lips. Okay, when you do the lips, again there's a guideline. If you take the cornea and create a straight line and do that here in this direction, you get the lip width. Sometimes I use the, let's say this is the cornea, I use this line. Again, it varies because people tends to have different shapes lips. So here we have this, the lip shape. And if you take one eye gap from this nose, let's say this is one eye, this needs to be the lower part of the lip, and then if you divide this eye, this is the upper lip, and this, you can divide this as well. So this way you will get the position of the particular features. So it's one eye gap from here till the lower lip, and then the entire lip is half of the eye distance in this direction if you rotate the eye like this. So the lip will be somewhere here. Okay, so I'm going to use my dance standard first. So I have the muzzle, so I'm going to put that point here somewhere maybe, and I'm imagining that one eye gap somewhere here maybe. So this is fine. So let's put one line here. So this is my lip, the lip partition, the mouth line I should say. You can see I'm creating a kind of deep shape there, and from here I can just give a little bit of volume using my tube brush. Just give a little bit of volume. Again, not worried of creating it perfect, just get that there, and then we can always refine it, remove it if we don't like it, we can refine it. Okay, at this stage I'm going to use my dam standard to create the chin shape here. We don't have that. I'm going to create a shape like this in this direction, then smooth everything. So at the end I'm left with this kind of shape, which is a very crucial shape. So below the lip you can see this kind of shape here. So as you can see here, this shape has, just under the lip we have this kind of cylindrical forms. So this shape is very important here. So make sure we have this. Again, don't worry too much about this, just put all those shapes there. And here you can see it doesn't look like a girl right now, no, a very ugly looking boy kind of look. But let's see, we're going to try to make it look good. So you can see from this angle, this kind of a round shape is very important. The lip sits on a round shape, so make sure you have this from this angle, always check this. Okay, from this we're going to quickly rely on my memory and then try to get some forms, some overall forms here. So from this lip corner we can just draw a line like this, a little bit, something like this, which creates that kind of lip corner muscle. So, and then I'm going to use clay tube and put some volume here. Let me decrease my brush intensity, and we can put a little bit volume to this lip corner. Let's define this again. So we have this shape. So these shapes are very important. You can see just having this shapes will look good. Look, the lip will look good. I'm going to smooth and get those, you can see, and from this angle I'm gonna get that curve here, and from this angle the the upper lip needs to come forward a little bit more than the lower lip. The lower lip should stay back. If you draw a line, straight line touching this upper lip corner, there should be a gap like this. The lower lip tends to stay backward. Okay, so now we don't have that. So that means this lip needs to come out a little bit, and let's quickly refine it. And I'm going to use damn standard to get that lip line. So holding alt with damn standard will kind of pinch and pull those lines. I'm going to do the same thing for the lower lip, holding alt and creating this curve. You can see the upper lip is going this, having this curve here, but the lower lip is kind of opposite of that curve. It's kind of going this way, so having this kind of form is very important here. Okay, so there's again a kind of dent here. Again, these things vary. Some people have it, some people don't. But again, let me use my pinch brush. Let's go to modifiers, increase it to somewhere 94, 95, holding alt. So pinch brush can be used like a general brush like this. So let me use time standard. So from this angle you can see we need to give a little bit volume to the lips. So let's use the clay buildup, and when you do the lower lip, there's a partition here at the center, this lower part. So there are actually two kind of balls shape, and for the upper lip we have one here at the center, and then there are kind of two shapes like this, and then this area tends to flat. Okay, so we have a ball gin shape and then the flat shape here. Okay, so I'm gonna do that. Let's create those kind of balls to round shape. Obviously I'm gonna define this part. So let's use a bigger damn standard brush to get this corner, and then I'm going to define this lip line. Okay, that's good, and let's do the center balls and then two side one. Not working on details, but again it's fun to do it, and then we're going to work on bigger forms and make sure this lip stays backward than the upper lip. So this is a must. Make sure you have the shape right. Let me smooth everything. It looks weird now. You can see this outline is very weird. It seems like an alien. So because we don't have anything here in this area particularly, so I'm going to use my pinch maybe, and let's pull these things. So this is the cheekbone area. Pull this, or you can use any brush, clay tube, whatever. Just get this shape here. We have the Masseter muscle here, which is kind of let's say this is the cheekbone, and then we have this bone here, and here you can see the Masseter muscle. That means that area tends to have a little bit volume like this. And when you do this, see that form is changing slowly. So I'm going to give this form a little bit, so we kind of don't have that form there. I'm going to smooth it. These bigger forms are very important, and I'm going to push these things in, so creating this kind of angle change. You can just feel these things, and then we can push those, something like this, so that you get a at least genuine, a decent kind of decent line there. Okay, still look at the basic forms. So here I can use my damn standard. From this I can draw a line like this, which is the nasal labia line, and then we can put some volume here as well, something like this. So that is the nasal labia fold, comes somewhere here, and you can see this part. Okay, and we have this little muscle here, so every muscle is attaching here in this area, so we have that. So I'm gonna smooth it. Again, we are creating a young girl, so I'm not going to have that very defined. I'm gonna kind of avoid defining that, otherwise it will look a little bit aged or like that, something like that. So I'm going to refine this nostril line a bit, so it should go in, and I'm going to define this inside part. We don't have a lot of polygons here, so I can't adjust that, but again, so that is the V shape there. I think I need to move this area a little bit back. From this angle we have a weird shape here, so always check your model from this kind of angles. Now you can see it's slowly looking like a human from Alien. So earlier I had an alien, now it kind of somewhere in between. Okay, so we don't have hair on it, so I'm going to create a hair proxy. Obviously we are not going to create any hair. I'm going to create a hair proxy, so I'm gonna append a spear. Okay, select it, and let's make it a dynamic spear. So I'm going to turn on dynamics inside the geometry, dynamics, turn on dynamics. Okay, and then let's do something. Let's do some fun thing maybe. Or let's use my move brush and maybe move, drag it. I'm going to create a kind of shoulder length here maybe, or neck, something like this. Okay, let's turn on the transparency so that I can see the inside head. Okay, maybe. So I'm going to use my damn standard to get a partition. Maybe have a center partition, whatever. We can do something like this, and then I'm going to use my clay build-up and start creating the hair. So creating a kind of, what they call that, kind of boycott or something, I don't know. Okay, let's do something like this. Again, this is a proxy hair, don't expect me to create something amazing. It's just a proxy hair. We use this thing while sculpting, and maybe in the process we are going to use Xgen or something later, but let's say I'm making a course and I'll create the Xgen hair, but when I sculpt the body, it's good to have a kind of proxy so that it at least look like a girl. Otherwise it's going to look like, without hair it's going to look like alien. you cannot do anything. Okay, something like this. Maybe I can put some volume here. Maybe I can use my damn standard so that I can see some part of the ear. I'm going to push these things in. Okay, something like this. Maybe let's have something like this. Maybe we can use what they call damn standard here. We can use alt while I use damn standard. Without alt it's going to push in, and using alt it's going to pull out. So we can create something like this. Maybe I should push in. Let's use some damn standard here and there to create some clump kind of look, as if it's clumping. There are some grouping, those kind of stuff. Let's create some silhouette. Maybe we can adjust it again. Let's move it so that it go inside or back side of the ear, so that we can work on the ear. Maybe let's use clay buildup in this area. Okay, I think I should decrease the volume. It's too much, so I'm going to move and have a kind of low volume to the hair. Maybe I'm not that happy with it, but I think okay, that's fine. Maybe we can have a side. Maybe let's see, I don't know. Yeah, I think we can have a side partition. Let me see which one was better. Maybe center. No, I think side one is fine. At least looks better than the without hair one. Some small hair clumps for you. So then let's work on the face. Now it looks like a girl, I don't know, maybe. So I'm going to kind of keep the lip a little bit wide stance. So I'm going to increase the depth, the width, by pulling these things again according to guidelines. Most of the lips tend to sit on this cornea line, but some people have small lips, some people have bigger lips. It depends. So I think for our girl, I think this is fine. So now what else I'm going to now I'm looking for some basic shape changes. Here you can see the jawline is not defined at all, so I'm going to define the jawline. This is the ear. Okay, when you do the ear, there is the guideline for this. So if you draw and two lines, one line just at the bottom of the nose, one at the eyebrow, you get the ear position here, the bottom of the ear, top part of the ear. So I think that's fine. Right now we have that, so that's fine. Now let me actually hide the hair for a minute so that I can work on the ear. Okay, I'm going to use my damn standard and then draw the helix of the ear, something like this. Okay, and do the same thing here in this side, defining this part. Okay, something like this, and here you can see this shape. So this part of the face kind of goes in like this, creates this room here for this shape, the back part of the ear. And here if I let me use my clay build up, maybe just push these points in, control drag to recreate it, recreate the polygons, just define it, and here I'm trying to get that shape there. Let's control drag, define it like this, something like this. Okay, it's shaped like this. Maybe I can define it a little bit more, can refine it a bit more so that this back part of the ear tends to be a little bit kind of tricky. So here's that end hanging part of that ear, and now I'm going to draw this. So this is the helix, should go like this, and maybe I'm going to draw a shape like this here. Okay, something like this, and then I'm going to push these things in. Again, don't have a lot of polygons here. Again, I can imagine these shapes. I have done the ear many times, so I think I can do it. Play tube and push these things in bit. Again, whatever you do, don't jump to the details too quickly. Just do it, smooth it, come back to the basic shape adjustment. Here you can see this helix is going in, kind of twisted, and going inside the ear, so it's not staying on that plane. So it's from this angle you should see kind of twisted look like this. It's going this way. Just push these things in, and let me define this thing. Okay, so let's put this shape here. From the side view we can adjust the overall shape of the ear. We can push this, having this shape here. Okay, from here we can just push. It's not that smooth, it's kind of having this kind of angle change, maybe something like this. So from the front you can have this angle. So when you do the ear, make sure the overall ear has an angle like this. So it's now it looks like having a straight angle position, but it should be in this direction. So I'm going to adjust the ear a little bit so that it looks like having that angle. Can say this kind of angle, the overall angle from the front. You should see again this angle. So from the head it should have this angle. So we have that right now. We just need to maybe adjust it a little bit, maybe push this thing out. Yeah, I think that looks good. I'm going to define this area a little bit. Let's give some volume to it. Define these things. This mask looks big, so I'm going to adjust that. So this kind of flow are very important. Maybe I'm not going to stay on a particular area for a long time, so I'm going to switch to other areas and work as a whole. So I'm not going to finalize anything at this stage. Okay, I like that. From the back side of the ear seems good. I'm going to smooth this. This lid needs to be defined a little bit. Okay, I'm going to put some volume to this area, the eyebrow. Okay, maybe. And from this view you can use standard brush and put a stroke like this. I mean, holding alt, just draw a stroke like this, which will create that kind of angle change. And as you can see from this angle, we have this shadow here right now. So here you can see we have this shadow going on. So that's because of this setting. So we have this flat angle. I think that looks good. And so because we recreated the geometry, we kind of we can lost those details, but that's fine. We have not done anything here yet. So actually first I'm going to adjust the neck. Now the neck seems very thin, so let me use my move brush and pull this neck out a bit. Okay, something like this, maybe fine. Let me turn on the hair. Let's push this hair in. It's kind of penetrating with the ear there, so I'm going to use my dam standard, maybe. Maybe something like that. Let's move the hair a little below like this and then push these things in. You don't have to do the hairs in this way. You can use maybe fiber mesh or something, but that's not the purpose of this tutorial. It's the main purpose of this tutorial is giving you the tips and tricks of creating head from your memory. And if you remember those, if you memorize those, you can create head. Even when you are creating from images, looking at images, you can see these fonts. So now I'm going to, let's refine one by one. So I'm going to maybe refine the leaf and the overall face as well. So I'm going to get this jaw, a little bit kind of sharp jaw here. Okay, something like this maybe. And let's adjust the nose a bit. So girls tends to have an angle to their nose. Now we don't have that angle. They need to have something like this. They usually have that. Again, exception is always there, but overall their nose tends to have a little bit upward angle, and then a little bit curve, or maybe a straight nose. Okay, something like this. Okay, I'm going to use my down standard to refine this area. Let's use my pinch, push this area to create this shape. And maybe I need to push this area a little bit to get that. No, from this angle you can see this shape here. We can push this area. That seems a little bit weird. Okay, now it looks good. Pushing this area and giving a little bit mass to this lip corner. From this side angle you can see this line here, this line, and we have this bump here. So that is a good landmark. Girls tends to have a thicker lower lip than upper lip most of the time, but again, so in this case I'm going to make this lower lip a little bit thick. So let's give a little bit thick lip, which makes the girl a little bit more attractive, having those kind of pout kind of lip, giving a little bit no volume, fullness to the lip. They usually do this if a girl doesn't have it. They usually do it with cosmetic surgery or something like that. They get the full lips because that looks really attractive. Okay, I think that's fine. I can just define this lip corner by just using the dance standard and creating a round shape there. Okay, something like this. And again, don't forget the basics. The upper lip should come forward than the lower lip. That should be always there. Okay, everything is looking fine, but we can give a little bit mass to this area. This area tends to have a little bit. I'm going to give a little bit volume to this area. Let me decrease my smooth intensity that it won't remove my details. Okay, something like this. She looks like smiling a little bit. Okay, so here I'm going to define that socket. So I'm going to put a line like this somewhere here, and then define that lower eye bag. That lower eye bag is somewhere there. So we have this kind of this empty shape here. That's kind of a flat shape there. We have this under eye bag, and then this socket here, and push this area a little bit. Maybe let him smooth this. Okay, it looks okay. Okay, now I'm going to maybe refine the nose a little bit. So again, earlier I said that there is this kind of cattle is there. That means we need to have a deep line stroke like this, and then this, the same thing in this side. So we need to have this. So we have a very small small wings here, and this wing shape goes inside like this, and this shape goes like this. We have a shape like this. We need to have that. Right now we don't have that, so I'm going to use my damp standard to refine this line, the inside part. We don't have a lot of polygons, so from the side angle we can just increase this line a bit, extend this line, I should say, extend that line. And here I'm going to adjust the eye shape properly. So make sure there's one eye gap. I think that's there, one eye gap, and this is the eye corner. And here I'm going to get a kind of typical girl eye look. Always check these eyes from this top and bottom angle and make sure it's wrapping around the eyeball properly with a even skin thickness. So at this stage I'm going to increase the division level, the resolution. So from 136 to somewhere maybe 200 something. Control drag, and now we have a little bit more polygons to work with. We can smooth it if we want to, and we can see slowly we're getting somewhere. Completely from my memory, I'm kind of making up this person from my mind. Okay, something like this maybe. I'm checking all these forms if they are fine from different angle. Okay, I'm going to look, check the lip a little bit more. So let's define this. Define this lip corner. Okay, and then maybe I can give a little bit more thickness to the lip. Let's see. I'm going to use my move brush and maybe give a little bit more thickness to the upper lip as well. I want an attractive girl here, but now we don't have that attractive. It looks like a very common looking girl. She's not attractive right now. And when you do the lips, adding asymmetry helps. So now the lip is fully symmetrical, so I'm going to turn off my symmetry by pressing X key so that I can add a little bit asymmetry forms. So I'm going to move this lip a little bit down, and then let's move this upper lip a little bit up. Maybe I move this side, the lower lip a little bit more thicker than this side. Something like this. Adding this kind of asymmetry even if it's very subtle, it's going to make it look more realistic, a real person like. So again, we all have a little bit asymmetry. So now you can see, now it suddenly start to look like a little bit realistic because of that asymmetry on the lip. So we even tend to have asymmetry to the nose. The nose tends to a little bit off maybe sometimes. So I guess yeah, I think I'm fine with it. Maybe I can just refine this a little bit more. So I'm going to add a little bit volume to this lip, adding a little bit volume here, and then something like this. This kind of forms helps. And now you can see, now I'm going to give a partition to this lower lip like this. Okay, here I'm gonna use my dance standard and let's define the lower lip here. So as I said earlier, here we have a kind of balls and we have one here, but this area tends to be flat, and this area tends to be flat, and in this area it's kind of going in kind of look. So here I'm going to use my dance standard to get that lip kind of line, maybe should say. Okay, something like this. The lip is never sharp, it's kind of having a kind of tube like shape, and here I'm going to do the same thing with the lip. Now you can smooth, and after the smooth you can see that form there. Because I didn't want to smooth this partition line, so let's refine that. And I'm going to move this. The lip tends to have a little bit curve here at the end, something like this, a little bit curve, small and little curve like this. On this angle you can see that form. Maybe I can increase the chin a little bit down there. Okay, I forgot to turn on my symmetry and I did the asymmetry to this area, and yes, this area can be asymmetrical, so it's fine to have a little bit asymmetry. So as you put more asymmetry, the face will look more kind of general, a common man face, I should say, because if you add more symmetry, if you keep more symmetry, the face will look more kind of a model and film star, kind of a good looking character. But adding asymmetry will make the character look more realistic, a kind of a normal person. So here I'm going to adjust this area and give a shape like this. Oh, again I forgot to turn on my symmetry. I'm making this girl a little more kind of a real character. Don't add too much asymmetry. looking at her face from different angle, and I think let me hide the hair and see. Okay, maybe. So here I'm going to adjust the eye a bit, refining this shape. Let's move this area and move this area. Having this kind of curve is very important here. Having this kind of curve. Let's use my damn standard and hold Alt to create that sharp line. Using Alt with my damn standard. So here I'm going to keep a little bit volume. Make sure this area is smooth and don't have any wobbliness like I have right now. Okay, now I'm going to turn off my eyeball and then refine this inside part. It needs to be refined as well. Now you can see the eye shape here. Typical girl's eye shape. Okay, something like that. So I'm going to post this area. So I'm going to move this and create a V shape. I'm not happy with the lip yet, so it's fine. It looks realistic, but again, I want a little bit more attractive. Again, maybe we need to move this a little bit. Okay, I think I should kind of get rid of this kind of lines, this kind of forms on the face, which makes the girl a little bit kind of edged right now. So it looks good, but I'm going to get rid of few of them. So now you can see from this angle we have these shapes. So with the clay tube with the low intensity, I'm going to have a little bit smooth kind of shape, face here. So because we are working with Dynamesh, these things needs to be kind of defined early, because you can see if you increase the resolution, it's very hard to change the big shapes. Now it looks a little bit better. I get rid of that line. Now it looks a little bit young, and maybe I can smooth this. Okay, I think I like what we are getting here. I'm going to refine the inside mouth, the inside nose part a bit. So again, we can define those lines, creating those kind of shape, and here we can refine this shape. So that's the catalyst shape there. We don't see these shapes on nose because that's very tight and it's there, but You can only see those forms on different lighting, different photograph. So here I'm going to smooth everything, but still we are going to have those forms. Even if I smooth those, you can see these forms here and this little form here. We missed a little bit volume there, so I'm going to get that back. Maybe from the front angle we need to have that kind of round shape where I can adjust something like this. And here we have this shape. Here there's the bony landmark shapes. I'm going to use inflood in this area, so this area gets a little bit thickness. So I'm going to adjust the nose proportion a little bit. So I think I need to adjust it. So let's use the move brush. I think the nose height is a little bit less right now. It should be 1.5 length of the eye. If you rotate the eye to this side, so it should be 1.5. So I'm going to pull this downward so that the gap between the nose and this upper lip line would be less. And the guideline for that is from this nose point to the lower lip part, it should be one eye gap. If you rotate this eye, and let's say the eye is like this, so it's one eye gap from the nose, bottom part of the nose to the bottom lip line, and the entire lip is half of the eye. This is a general guideline, but can be different. Every person is unique, but again this works with many characters. So here, okay, now the length of the nose is also 1, and so from here to here it's 1.5 of the eye. So you can just take, if you exactly want to count it, so you can take a box like something, maybe let me show you. So you can append a new cube or something, maybe a cube, and then let's select it using alt and left click on it, and then we can scale and take that size, scale to that eye level, eye size. So scale down. Okay, here I'm going to scale in this y-axis and then this axis. Just roughly take the eye shape. Okay, so now I know this cube length is exactly same as my eye length. So let me turn off this. Now let's pull that out. Okay, now I can use this as a guide. Now for my most of the proportion in the face is depend on this, so I can use it now. Let's hold control and drag. You can duplicate like this and see the gap between the eyes. It's a little bit too much. We can decrease that if you want to. It should be one eye gap. And now if I rotate it in this direction, it doesn't have to be perfect. It's a general idea, but almost it needs to be somewhere close. Now you can see it seems like the nose is exactly half of the eye. You can see the overall nose is 1.5. I think this is working here, and if we take this is perfect. One eye gap you can see here. So you can create a cube like this and keep that as your guide when you do the proportion of the face. It will help you. Let me undo. I don't want this. You can do duplicate this way, or you can just click here to duplicate to a separate subtool. I think this way is better because we are getting different subtool here. Okay, so let me delete one. I don't want to have two there. So yeah, let me turn off the eye, go to the body. So now the nose, the lip, the eye, again the eye, there's a little bit gap in the eye, but I think that's fine. Okay, so maybe we can move a little bit so that's one eye gap. Okay, maybe I can take this now. Hold Alt. You can see it's one eye gap between two the eye corner. Okay, that's fine. Okay, now the proportion is fine. Now I'm going to refine the ear and the overall face, and I'll polypaint it a little bit so that it looks at least a little bit interesting. So I'm going to polypaint, and then we are going to continuously refine the face. So for the polypaint section, I'm going to switch to basic material, and then I'm going to let's actually fill white to the face. So now I have selected white here. Just select the white, basic material, and I'm going to select my mRGB. Okay, now I'm going to go to color and fill the object. So what it did is filled this subtool, the head subtool, with this white color and the material, the basic material. Now because I had selected mRGB, M for material, RGB for the color, so we filled this object with both the material and the color. Okay, now I'm going to the eye. Let's select the eye. I'm going to paint the eye. Let's paint the eye. So first I'm going to divide it so I don't see any faceted polygons there. Maybe let's go to geometry. Actually we are using, no, let's divide it. We're not using dynamics here, so we can divide it, something like this. And for the eye, it's not this smooth. There is a kind of balls here at the cornea, so I'm going to do that. So let's use my standard brush. Make sure your symmetry is on. You can press X for that, and I'm going to change this to drag and dot, drag dot with standard brush. What it's gonna do is it's going to drag a kind of bulb, one piece of alpha. You can see that there. I'm going to have a bigger brush, so if you can see that I'm going to have a little bit bigger. It's too much, maybe this much. Okay, now you can see I'm going to press 1 so that I repeat it. Otherwise I can increase the intensity. Let's undo and increase the intensity. Actually this is a straightforward way. Okay, having this kind of balls is very important because our eye is something like this. It's not actually very smooth, a sphere. It's a sphere having this kind of balls here in this area. So again, having this kind of shape helps us to get the particular reflection or specular in this area. Okay, now I'm going to paint this area. Let's first fill it with white. Okay, I'm going to choose mRGB and change the material to toy plastic. That is a great material for eye because that's a very shiny material. Now you can see when I select that material, it kind of shows up on every piece except the body, because we had filled the body with the basic material just before we did the eye. So here I'm going to make sure the eye subtool is selected and the toy plastic and mRGB is selected with white color. Everything is selected, material, white, mRGB. I'm going to fill object. Okay, so when you fill it with a color, then if I change a color, it doesn't appear there. but it appears on other objects. You need to keep that in mind, but it's not applied here. It's just visible there because you have selected the color. That doesn't that's no, that's not a problem actually. Okay, now I'm going to paint the eye cornea. So let me actually go and paint a little bit kind of pink color. So let's change it to freehand with the standard. Make sure you are set to RGB and GRG sub is off, because now we are not sculpting, we are painting the color. So here I'm painting a little bit reddish pinkish tone to this corner of the eye, so giving it a little bit kind of rounded look by giving this kind of shadow, you can say, but it's actually the blood vessels, the overall blood inside the eye. Okay, something like this. I can make sure, yeah, the symmetry is on. Now I'm going to use dark color for the iris, sorry, the cornea, and let's choose something, maybe brown or something. You can choose any eye color, and in this case maybe let's choose brown eye maybe. Okay, make sure RGB is selected. So here I'm not painting any material because I have already filled the eye with the toy plastic material. So at this stage I'm only putting RGB information. Okay, we can just solo it. Let's go to transform. You will find the solo option here, but that's under my screen here. So I'm going to transform, use solo just to isolate that. We can do that. I'm going to increase this shape a little bit. Okay, so let's go to turn this off, and here I'm going to use a dark black color for the pupil part. So it's totally dark black. So you can paint like this, or again you can use drag dot and drag a dot like this. This is actually good because you don't have to worry about making it a perfect round shape. When you do this pupil, make sure the size is perfect. If you make it a little bit smaller, it's gonna look angry or something like that. So now I'm gonna change it to freehand again so that I can freely paint some other color, some maybe light yellow to this area to get a little bit variation, or kind of though I capture some light here, bounces some lights there. I'm going to put some dark to this border. Okay, something like this, and I guess we can rotate the eye a little bit outward. Okay, something like this. So here I'm switching to the body, and let's continue with our sculpt. We can do one thing, we can just fill this with a material. Now it's shining. I'm going to change it to maybe basic material, and let's choose I'm not going to put more color to it, so I'm going to have a kind of gray stone. So here I'm choosing mRGB again with the basic material. With the color I'm gonna fill object. Okay, and let's select the head now and start continuous refining it. So first thing, the girl is looking okay, but she has a little bit kind of edge going on. She looks a little bit edge, so I'm going to smooth this kind of forms which is making her look like a little bit edged. So I'm going to smooth this. Now you can see by just smoothing those, it looks a little bit young. I can undo it. You can see that. Maybe let me undo. You can see, oh, So by just smoothing, still I have all those forms, but it looks a little bit younger. And then let's continue refining our character. Maybe I can use my, let's first, because I had restart my computer in between here, so I'm going to change the setting. You can save this setting as well by saving the brush. You can save the brush here. Once you have adjusted it, you can save as the brush and then reload the brush. So here we want a double chin effect. Most of the people have this, a little bit kind of form going on there. This part is kind of sticking out, so I'm going to push that in smooth. With this basic material, we can change the lighting and look at the character from different lighting, with different lighting. What I think is the eye is a little bit bigger right now, and that makes the character looks a little bit kind of cartoonish, not cartoonish, they looks a little bit stylized. So the proportion is very important to make the character look realistic. So I'm going to kind of make those eyes a little bit small maybe. So let's use my move and move these things, make the eyes a little bit small. Making the eyes a little bit small. Maybe this corner is too backward there, so we can move that out. I mean move that forward. You shouldn't want this kind of wobbliness. It should be very smooth and perfect. There shouldn't be any unwanted shapes like this. Okay, now I'm going to refine this eye area. So let's use the damn standard. Here we can see a shape like this, and then the eye bag. So there is a in between shape. We can see this shape now. This shape is kind of a curved in shape. So let's make sure we have defined this. What they call the eye bag. This is the eye bag, and this shape is there, which is there for the eye socket. Now you can see I'm totally doing this head from my memory. So I can do this because with time, with doing these characters, you start to kind of get an idea for the proportion, for the details. So here this is the upper eyelid. We need to refine that. And here you can see a little bit fold going on. From here you usually see a little bit kind of two lines and create a fold there, something like this. And here this area, in this area we can see kind of balls, fat pad which kind of intersect and overlap with this eyelid. It comes and kind of overlap the eyelid a little bit, and here you can see a concave shape. When I say concave and convex, it's like if you have a block and you do this, so this is a concave shape, and if we have a block with some sticking out, this is a convex. So this is convex and this is concave. So here we have a concave shape which is going inside, and here we have a convex shape. Okay, so I'm going to use inflat for that. Inflat is a great brush. Actually I'm going to increase the divisions, the resolution a bit. So let's go to dynamics, increase the resolution to somewhere, let's 500, let's say, control drag. Okay, now I have a little bit resolution going on, so let's define that line a little bit better. When you define these lines, you can turn on the lazy mouse for the brush. So let's I'm using the damn standard brush. You can go to stroke and turn on the lazy mouse and increase this lazy step. Let me increase it, so which will create a kind of line. Sorry, I did the wrong thing. Increased, we need to increase the lazy radius, and which will create something like this. I think we need to decrease it. Okay, so increase the lazy radius, and which will kind of create a tail, and the brush stroke would be very stable. Okay, now I'm going to use my inflat brush and inflat this area. As I said earlier, you can inflat this, and here it's, let me use my clay build up as well to do it a little bit kind of sculpting way. Here we have a little bit volume. Okay, something like this, maybe smooth. Okay, this kind of shapes needs to be there in order to make it look realistic, otherwise it's gonna look let me decrease, it's gonna look stylized if you don't have this kind of realism in your work. And once you learn this, you don't need any images for these things to do. So I can use my inflat now and inflat this area, because this area is a very tight area and it's totally overlap on top of the eyelid, so you don't see the eyelid fully, you see a part of the eyelid actually. So it's something like this, so it's can overlap with the top eyelid there, and it needs to be smooth. As I have a little bit more polygons here, so it's a little bit difficult, and I'm using my pinch brush again to refine the shape here. Let me use my damn standard maybe. So from this angle, the shapes needs to be smooth actually. And make sure we have a defined edge of the eyelid. So holding Alt with the pinch brush, sorry, with the damp standard, or you can also use pinch brush without holding Alt. Something like this. You can see the eye looks a little bit defined. Let me smooth these areas. Now we have a lot of polygons here to define this stuff. And here I'm gonna do the same thing with the lip. Now we can see it looks like a sculpture, because we can see the welded part in between the two lips. It needs to be very defined. So I'm going to use my damp standard first. So as I know we have a little bit asymmetry going on here, so I'm going to turn off my symmetry so that I don't do anything wrong there. So I'm going to, let's actually smooth it first. Smooth, and then let me increase my intensity a bit. Let's define this like this. Went a very good, actually there the upper lip overlaps the lower lip, so the upper lip sits on top of the lower lip. So I'm going to use inflat again, and let's use inflat here, so that they kind of, let's decrease the inflat a little bit, and slowly I'm kind of inflating those so they are getting close to each other and looks like they're overlapping here. A very sharp line there, I can see. And again I can use my damn standard to these corners to define those as well. They should be defined properly. And I think I need to decrease the radius because I'm working on a very small area. Okay, something like this. Again something like this. So now the leaf is defined. So let me change my lighting a little bit. Okay, now I'm looking at some other areas to improve. Okay, now let's actually paint the eyebrows. It looks a little bit odd, so we can create other separate mesh for the eyebrow. In this case I'm not going to do that because that's not the main purpose of this class. So let's select it, go to standard brush and have a deep color there, dark color, and with the RGB only selected, with my symmetry turned on, here I'm going to put something here because of the eyebrow is missing there. It looks a little bit odd. If you have a little bit color going on there, it's still going to look fine because we are making a pretty girl, I guess. So we need to have some eyebrow. Okay, if you messed up with something, then you can paint white, because no, we have paint white here. We had filled clear white there. We can again paint white, let's say, in order to erase. We are not erasing actually, we're painting white to that area. Okay, now I'm going to put a little bit dark color to the eyes, the surrounding eye, to get a little bit shading going on the face with a low intensity, RGB intensity. And now I can just do something a little bit, because the face has different tone. The face is never have the face doesn't have a single skin tone. The skin is dark here, on this eye area a little bit, and then we can put a little bit dark here. Let's say this part of the nose tends to be red, looks a red, so we are making a grayscale. So we can put that there, and we can put a little bit dark color to the leaf. And if you want a shiny leaf, we can change the material, and let's say I'm going to use the basic material 2. Okay, I think I changed the let's first assign the basic material again with the M only. I'm going to assign the basic material. Let's fill it. Where is that? Fill the color, sorry, color fill object. Okay, I fill that, and let's change this to basic material, and with a dark tone I'm going to choose mRGB. So whenever you want to paint the material and the color at the same time, you should choose mRGB. So here with a lower brush, maybe without, and you can see this kind of pixelated. That's because we don't have a lot of polygons to have a smooth line on this painting. So I think that is fine, because I don't want to increase my polygons at this stage, because I'm still working on the head and I might do some big changes. And if you have a lot of polygons, that's a kind of nightmare to change bigger shape, because we are working on dynamics. So we can just do this. These things you don't have to do this. This is just for fun, just to present your model. You are not going to do anything with the character actually. So having this kind of things a little bit helps a little bit, sell the model a little bit actually. So I guess I paint the lip a little bit darker, and you can also render from here. You can click BPR and render it. Let's click BPR and render as check the model. Okay, I'm looking for opportunity to adjust the maybe the proportion. I think I should move the eyes a little bit up, just a little bit, I guess. So I'm going to use my move with symmetry on. So basically moving the position, I guess. And I need to adjust the eyeball as well. If I do that, I need to move the eyeball. You can see by adjusting this bigger proportion, the face looks sudden changes its appearance and looks a little bit different. It looks a different person. So this select the body and the head. So these bigger proportions are very important actually. And here we have this shape. I'm going to use pinch and push this in this part. So creating a kind of nose base line there. Smooth everything. Now we have a lot of polygons going on there, so smooth everything there. And I'm going to define this part of the eye. This part tends to have a kind of tube like shape like this, and the same thing here. You can push this in. This part needs to be pushed in, so you can see the shape, exact shape here. Actually, we can keep refining this. Okay, maybe we can use our standard brush in some situation, and let me use my G solve. I don't want any color there, so again let's use stamp standard to refine this line. Oh, I can use my inflat pinch maybe. Just define those, and let's define the ear, and then I think we'll done. This area looks a little bit weird, so I'm going to adjust this shape. So you can catch these things with different lighting. If you change the lighting, and you can catch this kind of wobbliness, I should say, and everything should be very smooth. There shouldn't be any unwanted shapes. Okay, looks okay. And now I'm going to adjust define the ear a bit. So let's use a pinch brush. It's totally undefined at this stage. I should actually define it before I increase the division level. I totally forgot about that, so I'm going to use inflat. Maybe inflat this area. Let's increase it. If you find it difficult to adjust because of the divisions or the resolution of the mesh, you can now go ahead and decrease it again. You might lose some detail on the face, but again you have to do that if you face difficulty to do bigger shape changes. So it's better to work on every piece simultaneously, and don't focus on one thing and complete it and then go for the other, because to complete any features you need to have a lot of polygons and if you do that and you complete one pictures of the face and then increase the resolution and come to a different part like this, that would be very difficult to adjust. Now you can see I'm just using my inflat brush to get these shapes right, and the hair is coming in my way, so I'm going to use move. Holding alt will move those in their normal direction, pushing those there. And let's switch to the body, and here I'm going to basically, let's use my clay build up. The ear hole needs to be somewhere here, and roughly sculpting the ear. Okay, so let's use my damp standard to refine this area a little bit. Using damp standard, refine this line, and here we can see this shape is a little bit thicker right now, so I'm going to move and create a kind of narrow part here, and then I'm going to use my damp standard to create that Y shape here. Here we can see a shape like this. Everything can be smooth, and you can see it's defining slowly, and we can define this part of the head. So I'm going to use sub tool, and then you can hold shift and click on the eye to kind of hide everything else except the selected sub tool. Okay, something like this. This part hangs a little bit, and let me use my infrared brush. Here you can see this line goes to somewhere like this. Let me use my damp standard actually, then we'll smooth it. So then we can smooth it. It's very subtle, something like this. We can use a little bit mask here. So these kind of secondary forms are very crucial to have. Let's move these things, and I'm going to define this part of the ear. It should have a very defined, it should go inside. These things needs to be very defined. Okay, from this angle you can see this part is going in, kind of twisted, and this part is having this kind of shape here. Okay, something like this, and the overall ear shape looks a little bit weird, so I'm going to adjust this shape a little bit. And again, the basic, you shouldn't forget the basics. The bottom part of the nose matches with the bottom part of the ear, and the kind of eyebrow corner, this corner should match with the the top part of the ear. That means it needs to move a little bit. And here we should see a shape like this, so you can inflate this, something like this. Maybe I can overall move this so that I get a little bit volume there, down there. From the front angle you should see, you should check the ear shape, and I'm going to define the back side as well. So let's use my pinch brush. Oh, it did something terrible there, so I'm going to undo and smooth again, and then I'm going to define this area as well. using my pinch brush, or you can use damp standard. Let's increase the intensity of the pinch and pinch these things. Okay, something like this. I'm not focusing on that area too much, and this part of the ear is very important. It has a very kind of carved in shape. The shape is going in. You need to do this depth. I used to do this no in a wrong way. I used to don't put this kind of depth there, so that should be there. That will give the ear its look here. Okay, a bit define. We can keep defining it. I'm not saying it's done, but again I have to finish it. Hold shift and click here, and I'm going to turn off this, and with this I guess we can call it done. And actually, let me, before I call it done, I'm going to put some part here. So this is the tear duct. So we have a ball and a kind of tube like shape here. So that is a shiny shape there. And let's select the body, and I'm going to switch to basic material and RGB. I'm gonna kind of put a dark tone to the inside of the nose. I don't want to see my nose here, so let me decrease the intensity maybe. Oh sorry, it's in flat. Make sure you have selected the right brush. So RGB, tone of GR, smoothly add that, kind of putting a little bit dark tone here and there. Putting a little bit dark here. And let's move the hair inside the ear. It's penetrating in these areas, penetrating here. So I guess we are done with the head. Thank you very much for watching this. Make sure you subscribe my channel and hit the bell icon so that you won't miss any new videos. And I'll see you with a new video. Till then, take care and bye.